Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first Castaway PVA Live. My name is Adam Honeysett.
I'm Paul Richardson.
I'm Ross.
Right, Paul, I've got a question for you. What is your favourite Castaway PVA product and why?
It's the solid bags. I'm a big fan of solid bags. I love getting the bait out there, and you can use them wherever, on whatever lake, whatever presentation you need to get onto. They're brilliant. I always use the smaller size, the 60s by the 105 mil.
Yeah.
In conjunction with the cable ties as well, which is a fantastic product.
Yeah. How about you, Ross?
The 18 mil mesh is my favourite, mainly because I do a lot of long distance fishing. But I just want to basically feed the carp. I'm just a mouthful, and the 18 mil mesh is perfect for that, for the small sticks. So it allows me to go out at great distance, but obviously just, feed a small amount so that the fish just gets a mouthful and it gets the hook and the bait, rather than a load of freebies. And it seems to work great because it nails them every time, that bottom lip, because they don't expect it. I noticed a lot over the few years that people bait a lot, so they have a lot of bait out there, but really you want them picking your bait up first before all the freebies if you can. And the 18 mil mesh allows me to do that. So yeah, it's a great product, the 18 mil mesh, and I have to agree the cable ties are fantastic. And there's so many ways you can use the cable ties. So they're my two ones: the 18 mil mesh and the cable ties.
Yeah.
Bonjour, Robin.
Right, Paul. What would you say is your most memorable capture to date, and why?
The most memorable one at the minute is the 52-pound cat that I had last year. Basically, because I was trying to go for it just with one rod, using everything you could use for cats, from chicken liver to luncheon meat, and actually caught it on a solid bag with a pop-up when I was going for the carp. I was on my own. My photos aren't brilliant, unfortunately. I have no one to share my experience with, but that's my most memorable from last year. That was really good.
Nice. How about you,
Hello,
Ross?
David.
How about you, Ross?
It's not a fish that I've caught. It's actually a fish that I helped someone else catch. The fish was a very nice mirror. It's 50 years old. It's got a bit of history to it. And he was actually in France. The guy, Mark, wanted to catch it for many, many years. And it was one fish he just couldn't catch, and or just hadn't come across at the time. And we were fishing together in a swim in a place called Brocard Large in France. And it was memorable because the picture I took once he caught it, he had the sun beaming down on him. It was a water shot. The picture was just perfect. And the best thing about it was he'd caught his target fish and the picture was perfect. You couldn't ask for a better picture, So much so that Anita, his wife, got the picture blown up into a big canvas within days of him capturing it. And it was on his wall before I knew it. So, yeah, that was my memorable one, really. Someone else actually having success. Because we all have success, but I like to see others succeed as well. And
exactly right. Yeah, I mean, usually, like you're saying about him, the sun was out. It's a great moment. Usually, you can tell that moment was meant to happen. I've seen it so many times with other people, not just myself, but other people catch them, and you just see the background and the amount of people there, and you just know, that was meant to be. Like, it was their time. It's great to have mates on the bank and enjoy the moment.
It's sharing their moments, isn't it? Sharing their moments that You know, a lot of people they say to you, "Oh, what is it about angling?" You know, it's them moments shared. Whether you're on your own, even when you're on your own, you still share them moments with your friends. You know, if you've caught that target fish, you know, you're straight onto the phone. You know, you've texted them, you send them a picture, or they come down and take photos for you. So angling is a real community sort of spirit about it, you know, and obviously about sharing those memories with good friends and family, you know. So
yeah, true.
Good evening, Mark.
Right, just to kick it off again, what do you prefer? This is to both of you. Mirrors or commons? What's your favourite and why?
I don't know. I like them both. Although the first carp I caught was a common, so they've always got a place for me. But there's a lot of mirrors that are coming out. They're looking pretty nice now with their big scales and different scale patterns. So I think probably the mirror at the minute.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I fish a few waters that mirrors are very scarce. So commons far outweigh mirrors. So for me, you know, certain times of year, commons, you know, nice winter common, you know, it's got that dark colour to it, you know, wintry colour. But the waters I tend to fish that, you know, commons outweigh the mirrors. So when you get the mirror, it's a very special capture. So because, you know, capturing them's not easy, you know. So for me, mirrors, but either one, any time of the year. But mirrors, yeah. And like Paul said, his was a common, mine was a mirror, my first one. So yeah, mirrors got a special place in my heart.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, for me, it's a tough one. But I love them both. But I would still say commons. Because of what you said, Ross. Where I fished, mirrors are the main one.
Yeah.
So the commons are the special ones. Do you know what I mean? So for me, probably the common does edge it. But yeah, I love them both. And, you know, I'd love to catch a big leather, but there ain't many of them about either. But,
no, definitely not.
So, yeah, evening, Mark.
Right. We've got a question in from Curtis. What's your favourite? What's our favourite rigs? Who wants to start that one up? That's from Curtis Burton.
Hello, Curtis. My favourite one is got to be, it's a cross between a blowback rig and it's hard to explain. It's like a blowback rig, but instead of the blowback style, it's a swivel that sits between two small rubber stops. So on the hook, there's two rubber stops, and in between them two rubber stops is a swivel. And then on that, I have a wafter or a weighted pop-up. So it's a balanced bait. Does the same sort of thing as a blowback rig. However, I find that it nails the carp just that little bit further back compared to a blowback rig. But that's my personal experience with it. But both that and the blowback rig would be my favourite rigs.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, it would be the reverse combi rig, pop-up rig. I fish it with a twist. A lot of people will put the putty on the knot, whereas I don't. I pitch a small shot on and make it critically balanced on the where the material splits between the two materials. For me, it's got more movement, more natural movement in it, you know, with the waves and stuff like that, with the fish flanking. Fantastic rig. So yeah, that would be the one for me. Definitely.
Mine's similar to Ross's. Mine's just the blowback rig. I'm a bit slow at coming forward, so I've only just got onto the Ronnie rig, so that's caught a few fish for me at the minute.
Yeah, I've only ever cast one of them out once, but that's another story. Anyway, I see there's a question for me. It's a question. I can't see who the question is from, but I can see it come up. Question for Adam. You're a very good angler, have managed to catch a lot of very big fish over the years, but what made you start doing tutorials? Do you think that will make it harder for your own fishing? And the answer to that is no. I said I'll commit to probably half a dozen a year if people are interested. But the thing for me was, you know, I do chase big carp, and the fact is that I do struggle nowadays. I've noticed it the last 3 years to find motivation to go. And for me, helping others in their fishing is a way to keep myself motivated. Not just big carp in different waters, but to help people with their own angling. That'd be a great thing to do, you know. So yeah, that's what I'd say. No, it'd give me, you know, the utmost pleasure to help someone with their own angling. So yeah, no, it wouldn't affect my fishing at all. Evening, Clint.
Evening, PJ. Evening, Clint.
Right. If you could only use one rig or one method for all future carp fishing, what would it be and why? That's the both of you.
Okay. Do you want to go first, Ross?
Yeah, go on. I'm going to be a bit controversial, I think. Method feeder. I use it everywhere I go. Calder used to do it was like what I used to call the Spitfire sort of propeller type method feeder, where it was weighted on one side and then you had the two bits. Yeah. So what I used to do is put the leaded part in my hand, put the ground bait, then the leaded part in my hand, crunch it up, bit of bait, and then a very small 1/2 inch to 1 inch hook link with the hook on and the bait, colourful bait, then bury it in the ground bait that I could take absolutely anywhere and catch. It's so simplistic, and you know you can catch anywhere on it. So that's the one rig I would use. It's not a real method, you know. So
yeah, still a very, very underused method as well, and very, very good. Yeah, it is very good. How about you, Paul?
Yeah, well, mine will be similar to the first question that you asked me. It'll be the solid PVA bag for me. Yeah,
another good tactic.
Yeah, you can chuck them out. You can stick them in the margin under the bush. They're so versatile.
Yeah, so definitely. There's a question for you there, Ross.
My favourite biscuit, David, is rich tea and digestives. It's not just one biscuit. It's got to be digestives and rich tea. There you go.
Oh, at the same time, Ross.
Stuck together, Ross.
Say again.
Stuck together.
Yeah, definitely. The next question is: are Castaway PVA bags good in deep water?
Yes.
Did you two want to go first, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've used them. You know, where I fish the Essex Manor, it's very, very deep in the middle. Goes down to 25 plus feet, and they're fine, absolutely fine, melt lovely. Don't get me wrong. Depending on what time of year, all PVAs will give some sort of residue. If the water is below sort of 6, 5, every PVA leaves a little bit of residue. But yes, they are good in deep water.
I can't comment because the lakes I fish are only about 6 foot deep at the minute, so I've not used them in deep waters.
Well, I do. The lake that I've just recently been fishing is up to 200 foot deep in places. So it's an old chalk pit, old working quarry, so very deep. And the bags have been fine up until around about 27 foot. After which I found that, again, like Adam said, depending on temperature, I might just have to double bag just so that it would get down to sort of 30, 35 foot, which is where the fish were sitting. Again, it's hard to know because obviously, without a deeper, we didn't know where they were sitting. So we used the deeper, found where they were sitting and what depth. And I found anything past 27 foot double bag, and it still wasn't leaving residue. So that was the other good thing. But also, you know, they're great in the winter as well. They do fast melt even at winter in depth, you know. So that's what I love about the Castaway bags. You know, it doesn't matter what time of year, they always seem to melt just in the right fashion. I don't know what David does with them or how he manufactures them, but perfect. You know, they all seem to sit just right and melt just right. Yeah, so I'm well happy with fishing them in deep water.
I see there's another question there. It says, lads, what do you prefer, bags or sticks? Well, for me, it's both. I'll fish a lot of things. Would you say? I'll probably say slightly different to most people. I still like fishing supple braids, so I use a bag or a stick.
Yeah,
a lot of the time, and yeah, I'd say both, to be honest, personally.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Go on, Ross.
No, mate, go on.
No, I was going to say again, I very rarely use mesh bags. It's always solid bags, so maybe I need to start changing my angling situation a little bit and be a bit more adaptable instead of just chucking the PVA bag out. Solid bags.
I like both, but again, depends on the situation that you're fishing. Obviously, sometimes, you know, the style of fishing will depend on whether you go bag or sticks, you know. So I will play it by ear. If it's a bag water, it'll be bags. If it's stick, you know, I'll use a stick. But sometimes you interchange throughout the session. So 1 minute you're doing bags, and then obviously they're not working, but you'll go over to sticks, maybe to a bit of better distance, or maybe the rig wants to sit a bit better or differently. So it depends really on the type of water that you're fishing and that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I've got to see another question there. It says, boys, do you pre-tie PVA bags before you go fishing or tie them whilst angling? Well, me, I don't fish anywhere that allows leaders for a start. So, you know, it'd be a no for me. I tie them all on the bank nice and fresh. That's the way I prefer to do it. I don't know about you, Paul. How do you go about it?
Yeah, no, where some waters we can use leaders. Others I use the Avid bag sticks. So yeah, I do pre-tie them. It depends how long I'm going for. I'll probably do 10 or 15 with various baits in, not just one bait.
Yeah. Ross?
For me, it depends on, again, where you're fishing, because obviously, like you guys, I fish waters where leaders are banned. So, but I can pre-tie because I use the rig tubing. So you use an inline lead, the same as you would do with a leader, except for you using the tubing, and then obviously you would pre-tie them, obviously with that. But it's difficult. So a lot of the time I'll do it on the bank because it's easier and faster to do it on the bank than it is to do it at home. But yeah, I prefer doing a lot on the bank because it's fresher. I know the bait's fresher. It's not been sitting there a while, unless you're putting liquids into your mix. Then obviously you'd want to leave it overnight. But I tend to do it while I'm on the bank.
Yeah. I see there's another question there from Stephen Cook. Hi, Stephen. Would the Ronnie rig give you confidence in a weedy water? That's not something I can comment on, although I'm going to be trying different rigs this year. I've only ever cast one out once. So I'm going to have to leave that one to you guys. It's not something that I would fish probably in a weedy water, but you know, you guys might have fished it more than I have. So, Ross.
Well, go on, Ross. So I've not fished the Ronnie rig before. I've only just not come across it, started using it. And the waters that I'm on aren't particularly weedy.
Yeah, I say it's not something I use. I've used it for actually years, well before, like, you know, the big hubbub about the Ronnie rig. It's been around for a long time, but obviously in the last few years, it's sort of made a resurgence in its new form or whatever. But it's been around for a long time. Not something I would use in weedy water personally, and my personal preference is there's too much metal in it. So for the fish safety aspect, I tend not to use it. But that's my personal preference. Others have found, you know, that they use it and they have no problems with it. But it's not something I either trust or would use just for the amount of metal work in it and the damage I've seen it do, you know. So
yeah,
but that's my personal opinion anyway.
that's right. Yeah, I see. There's another question there from Mark Wozencroft. PVA cable ties are great for bags, but also zig fishing to drop your lead without using tail rubber. Exactly right. The cable ties are a great product. I've got them in my bag, but I use the PVA tape so much. I just, you know, I do the same thing with that. So you know, yeah, that's definitely right. So many great products, you know, to be able to use. So yeah. How about you? Do you use the cable ties? I know you use the cable ties a lot, Paul, don't you?
Yes, yeah, mainly just tying the bags up. And obviously, if I'm fishing and I will need to drop the lead, then I'll use them instead of a tail rubber. Yeah, there was. I was trying to think now what else you can use them for.
You can use them. I'm sneaky. I use the cable ties as a stringer.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people look at me like I'm mad, but with the cable ties, you can put 2 or 3 cable ties together. And because the cable ties are ribbed, the bait stays in place, which I find is better than the string. Because on the string, you thread the boilie on, but it can move around a lot. So what you can find is instead of getting a perfect sort of stringer, the bait can slip down and it will clump together in one sort of area on the stringer, whereas it doesn't do that on the cable ties.
Yeah.
And what I found was when it sits on the bottom as well, it tends to sit perfect with your bait in the middle, whereas with the stringer, sometimes it can get tangled. And you don't have to use a load of other stuff to try and make sure that it doesn't happen. So the cable ties are great for that. Fishing chillum, again, it's a great way of not losing your lead on the cast. So obviously, you know, at chillum, you have to cut some of the lead clip down so that the lead will drop on the tape. But what people were finding was every time they cast out, they were losing the lead. So with the cable tie, I found it was easier and it left less residue, because 9 times out of 10, when people use the tape, they go over top with the tape.
Yeah.
Because they're you know, they want to be reassured that there's enough tape on there to keep it on. So with the cable ties, it takes that away because it's straight done. You know, it's done in second, and it's great for that. Yeah.
Exactly right. As long as you reel in and you dry the lead clip, it's a great way of fishing it. Absolutely great. We've got a question for all of us here. What's our favourite type of waters? Would you want to kick that one off, Paul?
Yeah, can do. I like little intimate waters where you can get in underneath bushes and see your carp you're trying to catch. I've been doing that for a number of years now. So yeah, just small, intimate, close quarter battles. Yeah, where I can have a couple of lakes I'm on now. I can do that with, so I'm looking forward to, as soon as this lockdown's over, getting out.
How about you, Ross?
The water's unknown. You know, there's some known fish, but the majority of it totally unknown what's in there. As doing a lot of fishery management, sometimes you can go to waters, net them, and you hear the stories. Said, you know, so and so fish has been dead for years, but you go and net the water, and it's there, it's alive. Now, a lot of people don't realise how big water and underneath waters are. But yeah, so the unknown and waters that allow me to catch fish that have not been caught before. That's my favourite type of water.
It'd be probably large gin clear waters, but then again, for me, I like the look of a big carp that I want to target. You know, I'm not picky as long as they're, you know, as long as I look at my fish for them. You know, whether they're ancient or whether they're semis, I'm going to fish for them, no matter where they are. So you know, it's you know, anywhere for me. It's you know, I love fishing. So right, we've got another one here. Up until this lockdown, I started doing really well on 2 and 3 bait PVA stringers. Do you think this is a much underused tactic these days? I'll kick that one off. Yeah, it is a very underused tactic these days. I think people tend to do a lot of spomming. They tend to put PVA sticks on, little bags of crush, stuff like that. When I think if people went back to throw sticking baits out and fishing stringers, they would do tremendously well, you know. That's more are underused and a brilliant way of catching fish.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree what you said there. I think definitely underused. Something I'm going to be bringing back into my fishing this year as well. Definitely.
Yeah. Ross?
Yeah, it's why I went and started using the cable tie, because I could do the 3 baits. You know, one single cable tie could fit three sort of like 10mm boilies on. So it was nice with a stringer like that. So yeah, it's a very underused method. I think over the years, like, you know, so many people have got into this thing where they've got to tuck in 20 kilos of bait, but you know, you don't have to do that. And I think this small bait approach has been lost over the years.
Yeah. It looks like I'm just trying to read it. I've got a question from Lee Goddard. Evening, lads. He's saying he had the pleasure of fishing with me on Monk's Pit. Never seen a fisherman be so active, moving several times in 48 hours regularly. Do I put, you know, that success down to this tactic? Yeah, I mean, for me, Lee, if I come home from the end of the weekend where I weren't feeling tired or anything like that, I'd know that I haven't put all my efforts in. It doesn't matter how long I'm there for. You know, a lot of the times when I first started fishing Monks, I was only doing 24-hour trips, and when you've only got 24 hours, you need to make that count. So yeah, I would say just give it your utmost. You know, to anyone fishing, give it your utmost. Turn up. If you're only there for 24 hours, if you spend 3 hours or 4 hours walking around and find the fish, at least you know you're on them for 20 hours and not sitting there with nothing in front of you. So yeah, I would say to anybody, just do your utmost to find them and then fish for them, but regardless of how much time you got, without doubt. What's it got? Do you like chasing big carp or old English carp? Do you want to kick that one off, Paul?
I just like chasing carp. I've got no preference no, I just like going out catching.
Yeah.
If I manage to get a big one, I'm even more happier.
Yeah. How about you, Ross?
Right. This is for fishing in the UK. I think a lot of fish have got history. So, you know, fishing for the old English carp, you know, like Redmere, you know, there's history there. I think it's special.
Yeah.
But there's also the other side, you know, going to abroad in France. I love catching big carp. I love catching carp of any size, but I love catching big carp just as much as I like catching small carp. You know, to me, I think the moment that, you know, a 10-pound pasty, as they're called nowadays, you know, doesn't mean the same to me as like a 50-pound carp. Yeah. I think I've lost the passion for fishing, you know. I still feel like when I catch a small fish or a big fish, the same as I did as a kid, you know, and that's what keeps me fishing and the passion of life, you know. I think if I lose that, you know,
exactly right. I mean, you know, although I target big carp, don't get me wrong. There's local lakes close to me that I love going down there for waggler and fishing a lump of bread underneath or a couple of grains of corn, you know, and catching, you know, single figure fish to mid doubles, you know. But yeah, I mean, I just love fishing for carp. If there's some old English fish there, you know, great, even more better. You know, see a 40-50-year-old fish on your mat is great. But yeah, just I love carp fishing. That's plain and simple as that. Neil Cutmore, do you have other ways to tackle a weedy water other than the normal PVA routes? Be interested in different ideas to try. Thanks, Neil. Go on. Do you want to have a go at that, Ross?
Yeah, I actually fish quite weedy waters. So there's a number of tactics that I employ to catch fish. Some lakes will allow you to rake a swim out. So I started off doing this tactic for tench originally, but found I ended up catching more carp. So what I used to do was rake a few channels in the weed, not in one big, swift, massive channel, but like 2 or 3 channels, find where the edge of the weed bed was, and then bait that. So as the fish come across the front of the weed bed, they'd only see the bait. They wouldn't see none of the tackle, because the tackle and all the rest of it would be in the channel. So the first thing they'd see was the bait, and it worked wonders. Another tactic is you can mark a float, find the depth of the weed, and then say, for instance, you've got 8 foot of water and the weed's 6 foot deep. So you've got a couple of feet from weed height to the top of the surface. So rather than fish a zig, what I tend to do is fish zig style. So it doesn't pop up like a normal zig. It will lie flat on top of the weed. So what it looks like to the fish is there's just food in the weed on top. Okay. And I found that the takes were vicious, because they didn't expect it to be with a hook, because it just looks like it's sitting on top of the weed like free bait. So that's another way of tackling it. And again, that's just a normal lead clip with 6 and a bit foot of hook link with a hook on the end. You can have it just a normal hair rig or whatever, and it just lies flat on the top. The other way of doing it is, if you can and you've got a boat, have a look around, find the holes in the weed, put a little bit of bait in. Carp will give themselves away. If you, like Adam says, if you spend 3 hours walking around, quite often you can find patrol routes, places they've visited. It might be on the front of a weed bed, it might be on the side of a weed bed, but that time spent in preparation will catch you fish. Finding where they're visiting rather than sitting behind rods catching nothing. It's all about being proactive. All I see nowadays is people rocking up, it's close to the car park, bivvy up, and then wonder why they haven't caught nothing for 24 hours. So like Adam said, it's all about preparation. Like, walk around, find the fish, and then employing whatever methods you can, to catch them. And that's the methods I use for weedy water, and it's worked for me for years.
Yeah. How about you, Paul?
Again, the waters I'm currently fishing, and I've done for the last, 10, 15 years, I haven't really been weedy. So if I do get up onto weedy water, thanks for some of those tips there, Ross. I'll be taking them with me.
Nah, that's all right, mate.
Yeah, I mean, for me, depending on how harsh the weed is, if it's just silkweed in the edge, obviously it's not a rig I personally have used a lot of, but the chod rig's a good rig to fish over that. And again, the helicopter rig, you just slide your bead up and, it allows your rig to go down, especially using a pop-up rig over the top. It'll settle nice, over the top of it. But even in dense weed, I've fished up to sort of 2 foot hook links, braided hook links, with no tubing, just a lead clip, quick release lead clip with a tail rubber. Just literally bound it on with a bit, just a small piece of PVA tape around the lead clip. Because what I do is I actually slide a big ball of PVA foam down the rig onto the hook. So when that's on your line, and you cast it into heavy weed, that's literally going in like an helicopter, and that will hold your rig away from the weed enough for it to settle on top. And I've caught some good fish like that as well. So hopefully that helps people in their fishing. But yeah, I mean, I can't see any more questions on there, guys. I don't know if you can.
I've got another one here. Why do you use coloured nuggets rather than just white nuggets? I don't see what the difference is. Do you want to answer that, Adam or Paul?
Yeah, I mean, for me, coloured ones I generally use because on most lakes the fact is there's always wildlife leaving their feathers all over the place, and you know, and when you've got a pink nugget or you've got a yellow one, it's so much easier than trying to pick it out amongst swan feathers. So for me, that's the pure and simple reason that I use them. That purely that. So
no, it's the same with me. That it's just a visual thing, like I say, with all the stuff that goes on top of the water, it's easy to pick out pinks and yellows rather than the white.
Yeah. Russ?
I mean, I use them as like a marker. So obviously, like you cast out, it pops up to the surface. I have to admit, though, I've got a bit of OCD, so I tend to match the hook bait with the colour. It's just an OCD thing. Other people will fold their handles, but for me, it's matching the colour of the hook baits. Something I've done for years. So yeah. But the main reason, you know, is that visual aspect on the surface. Exactly. You know, and then I can bait up to it. I know exactly where it's dropped, because nothing worse than casting out and then the ripples have gone on the surface, and you're like, I know it's out there somewhere, you know, and obviously clipped up, but yeah, that just uses a marker, and you can use that as a visual marker to bait up to that spot then.
Yeah, we've got another one from Neil Cutmore. I find the carp highways in weedy waters are very hard to catch in, although they are there. The raking of small areas sounds a good plan. Thanks, guys, for your help. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's tough because they're not always there. Sometimes, you know, they actually travelled under the weed, you know, and they're not there. So sometimes what you've got to try and do as well in situations is work out what types of weeds you've got in there. Sometimes there's more than one. Sometimes it's not just Canadian, you know, there's all sorts of other weeds in there. But once you've sussed it out, just by putting you can put a short rig on, heavy lead, chuck it through there so it goes right down through into the bottom, and drawing that back will tell you what sort of weed it is. Now, you know, a lot of the time, if it's Canadian or you know, like in Monk's Pit, that, you know, they used to call it kelp. It just grew up from the bottom, and it was like beanstalks, you know, and you can fish that. You can fish a solid bag through that and catch fish, providing you're dropping your lead and that, you'll have no worries. So yeah, hopefully that helps. So I don't know if you can see any more questions up there, guys. Can you at all?
I'm just going to go back onto the weedy one. The reason why I rake it, Neil, is because it stirs up the bottom as well. So a lot of the naturals that are locked in the substrate of the lake bed. A lot of the naturals that are in the lake bed and stuff like that, you're able to disturb, which means a lot of the tench, the carp, they get in, they start grubbing around, stirs the bottom up. And what it also does is it camouflages your gear, your tackle. They don't see it. So again, it takes that inhibition away. So if they're difficult to catch, that raking of the swim and the weed, it's giving them what they want. It's making it easier for them to get them natural. So you're doing them a favour, but in a, you know, the side of that, you're doing yourself a favour, because you're releasing those naturals, but you're making that water murky. You know, they can't see what's going on, and then they build that confidence, and before you know it, bang, they've picked up your hook bait, and you're in. So keep at it, Neil. You know, and take them all of our advice on board, and before you know it, you'll be an expert weed fisherman.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Right. I love carp fishing, but find day ticket waters really stressful these days. Too many people racing for a swim. What's your opinion, guys? Do you want to kick that off, Paul or Ross?
Okay. Again, it all depends on the type of day ticket water you want to go for. You know, say like somewhere like Farlow's, I love the place. There's some real good character fish in there, some real big fish in there as well. You know, and as everybody, you know, you go to their Facebook and see their fish, the quality of the fish. It's been well managed in the last few years compared to when, you know, I used to go there as a youngster. It gets very, very busy there, you know. So, and again, you know, you can never tell who's going to turn up. You know, someone might have had a drink, or someone might be on drugs, or, you know, you just never know with a day ticket. That's why I've kind of removed myself away from day tickets in the last sort of 10 years, you know, and gone more syndicate water. But don't let that put you off syndicate waters, you know, that they're there to be fished. If you can, go during the week when it's less busy. You know, weekends, as we all know, are going to be the busiest, because most people are off on a Saturday or Sunday, you know, Friday night, rushing to get to the lake. But, you know, it's all about managing your time and the times that you want to go, you know. So if you can, go during the midweek, you know, it's less busy. And again, it depends on the type of fish, how far, what waters are around you. But yeah, I totally agree. They have become more stressful, and, you know, fishing etiquette has seemed to disappear over the last few years. You know, someone rock up, you've baited a spot, and then they're casting over the top of you, you know. So again, stay calm, speak to the angler. Look, I've been fishing there, you know, let's sort it out between ourselves. A lot of people go over there with the ump, you know, and it causes more problems. Just stay calm, because they might not know you're fishing there, you know, because like I said, fishing etiquette has seemed to disappear. So when I turn up at a fishery and I have a walk around, I'll be asking people, are you all right, mate? How you going? How you doing? Have you had much? Where are you fishing?
Yeah.
Because then I know where he's fishing. So if I go into the swim next to him, I know I'm not going to disturb him, because I know where he's fishing. You know, because some of these day tickets are very, very tight. You know, like Sandhurst. If you've ever fished Sandhurst, you know, you can be tightly packed. You're very close swim-wise. So, again, it's just about angling etiquette and being good to each other. And day ticket fishing isn't a problem. You know, if you're good to each other, talk to each other. It's about that communication.
You got anything on that at all, Paul? Or?
No, I agree. Again, I agree with Ross. I do fish day ticket waters, and there is a big increase of people. I've been down to Linear before, and all the lakes are full, and you have to drive back. But it's just how it is these days, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've got to be honest, I do love day ticket water. I've only ever fished a couple. I've got to be honest, 3, I think. But again, it's, yeah, you've got to understand it is a day ticket, and you do get, you know, lots of different people turn up from all different backgrounds, and it's not always going to be as quiet as you want. But there's always an opportunity on a day ticket. You've just got to be able to move and find it. You know, a lot of them just, you know, a lot of people turn up to a day ticket and assume, hang on a minute, it's a day ticket, I'm going to catch fish. No, you still got to try. You still got to find them. You know, that don't just go out the window because you're on a day ticket. You've still got to find where the fish are. And yeah, personally, it's something that I intend on doing more of in the future, day ticket fishing, purely because there's so many good ones out there now that, you know, don't just let any Tom, Dick and Harry come on their lake. So yeah, it's something I'll be doing, and there's some monsters to be caught in some of them day ticket lakes. So, yeah. So it's something I definitely will be doing more of. Evening, Kristian. Kristian's put, do you do much overseas fishing? Well, personally, I've got no intentions at the moment, and I've never been. I will in the future, there's no doubt. But I've got enough to deal with over here, I think, at the moment.
Evening, Adrian.
Yeah, evening, Adrian. But yeah, I mean, you boys, you done much overseas, or Paul?
My overseas fishing is usually with the family, so I look for somewhere where we can go for a couple of weeks. So there's a gîte and a pool for the kids, and then I go off in the evenings and early mornings to do the fishing. Yeah, that's me at the minute. I have got a plan for my 50th in 4 years that I'm going to do a little European tour, and I'm just trying to get some lakes in mind and where I'm going to go. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Nice. Ross?
Yeah, I do both in the UK and in Europe. I want to fish Lake Bled at some stage, just because of the stunning scenery as well as the carp in there. I do a lot of my fishing in France, fish Germany, Belgium, mainly because of my background in the coach driving side. So I got to go to a lot of countries. So obviously I used that while I was over there to get a bit of fishing in. But yeah, big increase in my Europe fishing and obviously fishing in the UK as well. So
yeah. See, there's a question for me here. Adam, do you like feeding to the bites, or do you pile it in to begin with, etc.? I think you're a great angler. You did very well amongst pit and top rod. Well, yeah, for me, it's film my way in. I never have, an overly long session. So I do at first. I film my way in. I put enough bait in for a bite. And if I feel, if I get a bite, I'll put more in. Or if I know there's a weather coming, if I know there's a big southwesterly coming, and I think they're going to move on it. It's all about, for me, it's about reading the water and applying the bait to that situation. I think that definitely helps. The thing is you can't take bait out once it's gone in. So I think the best option is always to feel your way in rather than to pile it in. Definitely. Stephen Pickering, hi guys, hope you're all safe and well. My question is, during the lockdown, do you think that the waters and the fish will benefit? Do you want to start on Russ?
Yeah, I'm currently doing a fishery degree, so aquaculture and fisheries management. So, and I've done a diploma in fishery management as well a few years back. And I can tell you they will benefit. Most fisheries have got a feeding program while this lockdown is going on, so the fish are still being fed. That being said, most fisheries have their own benefit from natural food anyway. And obviously, you've got to imagine, I'm still old enough to remember when lakes and rivers were on a 3-month closed period anyway. For this reason. So let's put it into perspective. Less traffic on the bank means that grasses, irises, trees, tall grasses, they all get to grow a lot better. We're not trampling them. We're not making any, damage to anything. So they're free to grow. Lizards, newts, everything is not being disturbed while we're not out on the bank. So they're having a really good time of it. Yeah. And if you imagine, it has a one big food chain, a beetle feeds a bird and a bird feeds something else. It's one big ecosystem, one big food chain. So everything at the moment is benefiting. So the fish are benefiting from it. So yeah, it's all good. And they're getting the rest. And also, what a lot of people don't realise is in the lead up to fish spawning, it's the most dangerous time for them because they're carrying their eggs. So this is why, if it was me as a fishery manager, I would probably close 3 weeks prior to the spawn to make sure that they were safe, because it's their most dangerous time. After the fish have spawned, it's when they want to feed up, because their bodies are automatically now regenerating eggs for next year. So their bodies are now looking for food to start regenerating eggs for next year. So this current lockdown is actually doing us a favour, because when we eventually get out, they're going to be on the munch big time. So I can see some really good catches coming out, some big fish, and they're going to be fine. They got on with us without us, and they'll get on with us without us now. So yeah.
You, Paul?
Well, I don't think there's much else you can add from what Ross has just said, really. No. But yeah, I can remember the old close season. So yeah, that's all I'm treating this as, just close season.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say. We've just got to all remember, it weren't too many years ago where we couldn't fish in the close season. We all had 3 months break. And you only have to see carp suddenly become carp. They're not suddenly the creatures that we've created anymore, you know, by the angling pressure, they actually start behaving like they would. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. As much as I want to go back out there, I think it's a good thing for the fish and wildlife, you know. So and nature, you know, because we've got to understand that we walk the banks, we tread all the grass down. You know, it's nice to see everything starting to flourish again out there. So yeah, it's a good thing, I think. I see there's another question. Where is the best place to go fishing as a beginner? Never fished before, and that's from Amy.
Yeah,
I would say.
Sorry.
Yeah, you know, I would say that anywhere that's heavily stocked, you know, not necessarily with big fish or big carp, depending on where you want to go, but you know, just make sure before you go anywhere to, you know, you still got to look after the fish. You still got to make sure you've got the right nets, you know, the right unhooking mat, and the safety to be able to deal with it. So yeah, I mean, just go to a heavily stocked water. You know, seek help in the tackle shop. You know, on a lot of these waters, there's tackle shops. They're willing to help you. You know, and point you in the right direction. So that's what I would say. I mean, I don't know about you, Ross, what you would say on that.
Well, I know Amy personally. So first things first, obviously, I hope you're safe, Amy, and stay safe in the job that you currently do. If you're just starting out, and obviously, you know, first things first, find someone that you can learn from. You know, that's been fishing before, that can coach you, show you your way. You know, show you about fish care, how to handle fish, and can teach you step by step. Unfortunately, we see in today's angling that you can go into a shop, buy all the tackle, walk out of the shop, have no clue how to use it, walk onto the lake and start fishing. My advice is find someone that you can coach you or does it, can teach you the right ways to fish care, catching fish. There's plenty of waters out there where you can go and catch 3 to 10 pound carp and loads of them. So, you know, there's no excuse for taking anybody that's never fished before to a water where they can't, you know, catch plenty of fish, you know, get that passion alive. So that's my advice. Find someone that can teach you and take you step by step. You know, get the help from the tackle shops, but, you know, someone that's been before can teach you and then show you the ways, the right ways. And then before you know it, you'll be able to go out and do it all on your own and enjoy our glorious sport.
That's it. How about you, Paul? Can you add any more to that, or we've just covered it?
No, the only thing for me would be to start off small fish, get used to catching and angling, not going after the big ones and ending up, like say, not fish care and dropping them. For me as well, it's just start off with small fish. Go, even if it's not carp, just go after the roach and the perch, just to get you used to fishing, catching the fish, holding the fish.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Good evening, Kevin. When you're using PVA bags, would you prefer to match the hook bait with the contents of the bag, or use a standout hook bait? What would you do, Paul?
I use standout hook baits, and it's usually the corn stackers from Evolution Carp Tackle, because if you do a load of bags that you pre-tie, the plastic baits aren't going to get any buoyant. They're going to stay at their buoyancy, unlike the pop-ups. So yeah, I like bright pop-ups in my bag, pellets and pop-ups.
How about you, Ross?
I tend to match with the bait that I'm feeding, and obviously it depends on type of water. If it's a type of water where I can use a bright pop-up or wafter in the bag, I will. But 9 times out of 10, I will match what's in the bag, because I just want them to not know anything different, everything's the same. And I want them to feed on that straight away without any inhibition, you know?
Yeah. For me, you know, because we all use PVA bags, not necessarily on their own, you know, it could go over a bait. So situation, depending on whether it's spring or there I might have brought. But again, you know, fish in PVA bags just with crumb. I tend to mix and match, to be honest. That's the way I sort of fish. It says, from Tony Humphrey. Good evening, Tony. Do you prefer PVA?
Sorry, I missed what you said there, Adam. So, yeah, for me, it's the PVA bags. I have got some mesh, but I tend to always use my bags. I just like the presentation it offers me.
Yeah, for me, it's PVA mesh, obviously like 18mm PVA mesh. But if obviously I'm stalking or fishing margins, I tend to use the 35mm mesh because I can have a nice big sort of ball of bait in the margin or stalking, and it's there. It's, you know, but for me, majority is the 18mm mesh.
Yeah, I'd be the same. I'd go for mesh because at certain times I tend to fish solid bags, so I would say mesh. In all sizes, to be fair. I fish sticks as well as, like you say, you know, if you're fishing crumb, you can make them golf ball size with a 35mm and, you know, pull your hook link straight through them and just fish that, you know, trying to trip fish up in the margins or whatever. But, yeah, I'd say mesh definitely for me. Which got, I love watching Paul Esseltine's videos. Passion for big carp is brilliant. Will Paul be doing a live at some point? Well, I think Paul should come on and tell us whether he will be doing a live at some point.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you getting on, chaps?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, yeah. The question
are you
is,
doing a live, Paul, at some point?
well, I suppose at the moment I'm the man behind the scenes, sort of like sorting it out for you guys.
No volume.
No volume. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can now.
Well, yeah, I guess I will. I'll come in and I'll do one at some point. Can everybody else hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Well, the answer is yes. I'll come in and I'll do one at some point. But I've got a lot planned for the rest of the team at the moment. So there's lots planned. I mean, you know, people keep tuning in, keep looking on the page. We've got French waters. We're going to cover French waters. We're going to cover the match fishing side of things as well. So, yeah, I guess I'll come on at some point is the answer to that.
There you go. That answered that question.
Yeah, well, I actually couldn't hear any of that personally, but I know you guys could hear.
Yeah,
I got shut out for some reason, but yeah. But have we got any more? Oh, here we go. John Tinsley. Should you put a Ronnie rig in a solid bag? Interesting subject. I can't comment because I've only ever cast one once, so it's down to you guys. Ross?
I have.
No, Paul?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have put one in a solid bag before. I've caught on it, but I still just prefer me blowback rig when I'm doing a solid bag. I think the presentation is a lot better personally, but that's my preference.
I've done the same. I've put a Ronnie rig in a bag, but personal preference wise, just for the amount of metal involved in the rig and, you know, the damage I've seen it do. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of people out there that have never damaged a fish with a Ronnie rig, but from personal experience, I've seen loads of damage with it, and I just wouldn't use them. But yes, I've put them in a bag and caught from them. But yeah, personal preference, I just wouldn't use them.
Yeah, that's it. Well, can you see any more questions on there, guys? I can't see any.
No, I've got one for you, Adam.
Well, I think. Yeah, go on.
Go on, I've got one for you. If there was one water you could fish for the rest of your fishing time, which one would it be and where?
Oh, for the rest of my time?
Yeah.
A bit like Dead Man's Shoes now, but the amount of reading I've done up on this beautiful carp, it'd have to be Burfield. Unfortunately, life's too short, and I'm not in this position. But yeah, for me, the reading I've done on that fish and just that fish, it's got to be, for me, it's the best one out there. So yeah, for me, it'd definitely be Burfield without a question. So yeah, definitely.
What about you, Rob?
It'd have to be Redmere, actually, of all places, because I grew up watching A Passion for Angling.
Yep.
And obviously that inspired me greatly. Not so much now, because it's obviously fishing. It's fish for the future, where it's been bought and taken over. But if I could have done it in the past and been old enough, I would have loved to have fished that place in its heyday. For me, in current times, would have to be Lake Bled. Would be the one that I would fish for the rest of my days, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. How about this then, guys? If you could only use one Castaway PVA product, just one for all your fishing, what would it be?
It would be the 18mm mesh for me.
And it'll be the solid bags for me.
Yeah.
I've never had one split on me when I'm casting.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it would be the mesh, because obviously a lot of them great products are made to make things easy. You know, you've got your tape, your string, you know, your cable ties. But if you really had to, you can cut your mesh down. You can wrap your clip around the clip. You can do so many things with that one product. So yeah. That would be it for me.
I've got one for you guys. What was your earliest memory of your first fish? What was the first fish you ever caught? And was it the fish that got you involved in angling? You know, did it give you the passion for angling?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my most memorable one when I was younger, and I was young, was pike and perch fishing, to be honest. But yeah, we all start somewhere, you know. It progressed from that. It progressed from that to I went into the junior matches and fished junior matches, and then they sort of dwindled out. So I started, you know, targeting the bream and the tench, and then it was pike, and then believe it or not, suddenly you get trapped with a carp. And it becomes that awful passionate obsession. So it's I've had a passion for angling really over the years, and just now it's targeting carp really, to be honest with you. So
for me, it was my granddad took me fishing, and it was a perch, my first fish. And then after that, I just loved going down, waiting for that float to bob under. And then tench was the local lake, council lake, full of tench. Went on to a match, caught a nice tench, and then the carp wise, I just saw people catching carp, and I had one lift bite on a float, and these pair of lips come out of the water. And I thought, I want one of them. After a line, and then all my match stuff went, and the carping came. But I like catching anything there. I'll go for anything.
For me, it was my dad teaching me sea angling. I started off as a sea angler from about 3 or 4, and then between sort of ages of 6 and 10, I was beach fishing and boat fishing. So, you know, catching cod, mackerel, whiting, pouting. Loved angling. And then a friend of mine, a school friend called Fred, done a lot of freshwater fishing, but he did a lot of river fishing at the time. So he wanted to do sea angling. I wanted to do freshwater. So I said I'd teach him sea angling, and vice versa, he'd teach me freshwater. So we ended up teaching each other, you know, the other types of angling. And as the years rolled on, I ended up predominantly going freshwater fishing rather than sea angling. mainly because of obviously, you know, all the trawlers and the types of deep fish being reduced. And then obviously it was easier to go freshwater fishing. So I ended up staying there, and last few years it's all been sort of like carp, you know. So I fish for all species. I love tench. But one of my favourite fish is surprises people is chub. I love a good chub fishing session.
Yeah. Whereas for me, my second favourite would be perch, without doubt. I mean, I love perch. So, but I can see another question on the screen now. When feature finding, do you use a marker float or a bare lead? Do you want to kick that one off, Paul?
Yeah, bare lead. For me, I just find there's just less things to tangle. Every time I use a marker float, I cast out and I start peeling the line off, and the float doesn't pop up. So I've been using the bare lead for quite a while now.
Yep.
You roughly know what the lake is anyway, the depth of it. If you feature finding, you don't need your marker float, I don't think, personally.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, you know, I'd use a marker float if I was going to put if I was going to do a bit of zig fishing or something to find the depth. I generally, unless it's really dense weed, I don't often use a bare lead. Believe it or not, I actually use a very short chod rig at the end. I tie that on and it just comes out the lead clip basically, and because it's all right, a bare lead, but a bare lead will bounce down on the bottom, even though there's weed there. So it doesn't always give you a true reading. But if you fish a 2-inch rig down onto the deck, that will tell you exactly what you're in, whether you're in silkweed, you're in you're in silkweed, or whatever's down there. That will definitely tell you. So that's my way of doing it. How about you, Ross?
It depends on the water. I mean, I tend to use a lead that's got some bobbles on it, so you know it's not totally bare, but it sort of grabs the bottom, so that obviously it gives me a better indication. But just recently, like I was saying, I was fishing that big chalk pit, so the depths were quite deep and up to 200 foot. So a lot of it was short range fishing up to like 35 foot. So I needed to know the depths. So I was using the marker float, but 9 times out of 10, I'll use that plain lead with the the knobs on it, just so that as it comes across, it picks up all the different vibrations through the braid. So yeah, I would use a lead with just the knobbles on them.
It says, Mark, it says, after lockdown is lifted, where will your first session be? Well, I think it's a tough one for everyone. I mean, we're all going to be getting into the old, the massive wheelbarrow race. So, yeah, it will be tough for anyone. I mean, I might give it a week. I might try and go at the start. I mean, you know, and for me, it'd be back to my syndicate, the Essex Manor. Usually this week it's it's my birthday week, and I'd usually have a week's fishing, but it's just not going to happen this year. So yeah, that's where I'd be. Where are you going to be, Ross?
Well, I'll probably leave it a few weeks after lockdown, because it will be absolutely ramo on the syndicate, and any day ticket in the country, judging by current ways and discussions on Facebook and social media. You know, the amount of people that are really wanting to go says to me that it's going to be absolutely chocker. So it'll be my syndicate water, but a few weeks after the lockdown, if and when that happens. Because I think the social distancing is going to be in for a very long time after all this anyway.
Yeah.
So yes, things are not ever going to be the same, but we just are going to have to adjust and work our way through it.
Yeah, that's it. How about you, Paul?
Yeah, I'm just going to probably give a couple of, probably a week to let everyone else get down there, and then it'll be my syndicate that I'm on, I reckon.
It's a question for you here, Paul. Hi,
Yeah.
Paul. What is your best way to prep a solid bag for general use? Do you try to remove as much air as possible?
Yeah. So I think we'd have to make this the last question, I believe. So I usually use the same pellets. So if I won't have different size baits in there, because it's easy if you put different baits in, then the air gets trapped in between. It's quite hard to get out. So for me, I'll use a 2mm pellet. The hook and the bait will go in first. Then the pellets, keep topping it up. Then the lead goes in, and I keep banging it and banging it. Get all the pellets compressed.
Yeah.
Then get the cable tie it off at the top. Then the corners. I personally just lick and stick the corners down. I know some people cut them, but as long as you keep banging the bag to get everything compressed, you'll have no problem with the air.
Yeah. Well, I'll agree with you there. I think we'd all do exactly the same. I mean, some people prefer to put the lead in first, others prefer to put the bait in first. Personally, I've swapped and changed, and I don't think any of them make any difference either. So, but did I hear you say we're going to make this the last question, Paul?
Yeah, I've just seen another one pop up on the screen though, and it's one I can answer pretty quickly. It says, Ross, would a deeper have not have been better on the deep pit? I didn't mention it, but obviously I used the deeper in conjunction with the lead and marker float. The reason for that is because there was a lot of weed on the bottom, but depths that you can't really tell a lot with a marker float. So it was easier to use the deeper. And it's amazing what you can find, because you could see the holes in the weed with the deeper, whereas you wouldn't know really at that depth with the marker float. So yes, with deep pits, I think a combination of the marker float and the deeper would be your best option to tackle the big deep pits.
Yeah. Well, I think you've covered that. I think in that case, I hope everybody enjoyed watching us all. It's been great talking to you two fellas.
Yeah, it's been good.
Stay safe, stay at home, and protect the NHS.
Yeah, definitely.
Stay safe, everyone.
Stay safe, guys.
Cheers.
See you later.
Cheers.